Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is
WhyzenUP.
We would like to welcome you to our very first podcast where we are going to share 28 years of friendship.
28.
And experiences that we've had in our lifetime. We have gone through many, many different phases in our years, and we have shared them together. And one of the craziest things about our friendship is that we have lived in different places and had totally different lives, but our lessons always parallel, and we've been able to bounce that off each other. And it's been really amazing, and we're really fortunate to have such an amazing friendship that we're able to do that. And that's the purpose of this podcast for us, is that we want to share our experiences with you, and then also share our perspective on the things that we've gone through and what we've done with those things, where we've taken it and what we've learned and how we've used those things to grow. So we're going to start out with a couple of quotes, and that'll kind of lead us into this very first episode. So we're going to start out with Rachel.
Hi. All right. So I'd like to start off every podcast with a quote. I'm a big quote person. So when I was in grad school, I heard a quote by a man named Thomas Schelling. He's an American economist and a professor of foreign policy, nuclear strategy. He's a big guy. And he said, "One thing a person cannot do, no matter how rigorous his analysis or heroic his imagination, is to come up with a list of things that would never occur to him." Very simply, what that means is that we only have the ability to understand what we have a comparison to. And so many times people will go through really hard times in their life and they don't know how to get to the other side because they have nothing to compare to. Maybe they're younger, their friends haven't gone through it, they didn't have a mentor in their life or even have somebody that could go to that level with them to help them gain that perspective. So this podcast, it really isn't for people who are not wanting to take that deep dive into becoming a better person, trying to heal the trauma in their life, and trying to come to a place where they're free and happy. And we're going to work on that for the rest of our lives. But
Absolutely.
definitely have a perspective to give you that we think that you probably haven't heard before. So I'm going to let Amy kind of talk a little bit about her perspective of things, because she's got great perspective.
No, and definitely thank you. And this is little Miss Super Sniffer over here, because she can sniff out a lie or anything, and you just don't even know.
Snoopy.
Yes.
All right.
So, and I just want to touch a little bit on what she was saying, is that part of what we hope to accomplish through this podcast is helping people recognize the things that they are going through. Maybe you don't realize you haven't, healed through trauma, or that you have alcoholism or addiction, or
you're in it now.
Right. So maybe you're not able to recognize those things. And so what we want to do is have conversations that bring up those topics so that you can even look at yourself and go, hey, is this me? And then, encourage you to take accountability so that you can walk into the life that you want in a more healed and more educated way, I guess you could say it that way. And then I came up with a quote too. Actually, I did not come up with this quote. I was laying in bed with my husband going, I like Rachel's quote, and I feel like I need a quote. So my husband's like, and I started telling him about Rachel's quote, and he's all, well, perspective is the creator's kaleidoscope. And I was like, bro, that is so good. Like, because no one can have all the perspectives but the creator. But what we hope to accomplish is help give new perspectives that maybe you haven't gone into. And that's kind of what her quote is like. And when you're in something or you're going through something, you couldn't possibly have the perspective that person over there has, because your life is different and you haven't gone through the same things. So, as a community, it's so important that we share our perspectives so that we can all grow and see things from this more of a kaleidoscope perspective.
And he builds relationships, which is really important. So another reason why we're doing this podcast is I'm an executive leadership coach. Amy is a transformational facilitator on a whole nother level. If you really want to get down to the nitty gritty of who you are and how to heal that, this is your gal. And I actually am going to be doing my own podcast on the side, and so is she. So I'm going to be taking a lot of the topics that we discuss together and then pulling from that and putting it into a business edition. I have a master's in business in organizational leadership, and I want to kind of talk about the relational connection between all these things, these serious topics that happen in life, and how that affects business on a profit level. So that's what I'm going to do, and stay tuned for the business edition. Amy's going to talk a little bit about her transformational facilitator and the role that she plays individual one-on-one with people.
For sure.
who
So
want
I'm going to do kind of what Rachel's doing. I'm going to take these topics that we talk about here, and then I'm going to go onto a separate platform, and I'm going to go deeper into these things, and then make myself available for individual one-on-one work with people. So, you know, stay tuned for that, because we're really excited about this journey that we're taking.
It's exciting.
And we really, really want to help people get to another level with themselves and get to a different level of accountability. And, you know, sometimes we have these amazing goals and we don't even know how to go to those places because we have blocks.
There's so many roadblocks.
Yeah, and we don't even know what they are. And so we want to talk about different topics, like I was saying earlier, alcoholism, drug addiction, codependency, and then we'll go even deeper to other things, childhood trauma and different things like that, because those things really do affect us in our day-to-day life, and a lot of the times we don't know, and we haven't taken responsibility for that because we're not even really aware. Most of us are in survival mode, and we're just trying to get those bills paid and trying to get through that day, or get our kids taken care of, or do whatever it is that you have on your plate. And we're not really recognizing that part of the reason why it's so hard, or why it's a struggle, is because we're not really authentically living through the part of us that we really are. We're kind of living in a space of like who we think we should be, or how we think it should be. And we're like that because we've never really dealt with those inner core issues.
And on the same token, sitting back, if you're in it, maybe you're not taking care of your kids, right? The way that you want to. Maybe you're feeling guilty. Maybe you're having guilty parent syndrome. That's something that Amy coined a while ago, and it's true. That's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole episode.
What if it's a situation where you're in it and you can't get out of it, and your whole life is crumbling around you, and you're at rock bottom, and you're sitting at rock bottom? Well, there's no way to
do you know, Rachel, sometimes people don't even know they're at rock bottom.
You don't know you're at rock
bottom. They have everything they ever wanted. They have the husband or the wife that they wanted. They have the 3-point, 2 kids.
Fence,
they have all the things.
Right.
And they still feel very empty.
Yeah.
And like their glass is half full, and they don't know why. And I know I've definitely gone through this. Yeah, because you haven't done the healing, and you don't realize that you're supposed to. You look around you and like, I should have so much gratitude, but secretly you don't. And that's one of those things that I also want to help people get to, as to why you don't have gratitude. Because sometimes we're so bogged down from things that we don't even know is there. A lot of us, we come from a rub some dirt in it generation.
Right. Gen X.
Yeah,
Gen
so
X here.
we've been rubbing some dirt in it from the time we could rub some dirt in it. Right. And so I know for me, a lot of my issues really manifested in my late 30s, early 40s, where all of a sudden I'm like, I have things that I dreamed of and that I wanted, but I'm still like, I don't know how to be happy, And
I've knocked off a lot of goals in my life. If I put my mind to something and it's a goal, I'm going to achieve it. And I still sit back sometimes and go, what's missing?
Right.
And
the
the reality is, if you don't do what you were meant to do, what you were put on this earth to do, whether you believe in God, a creator or not, if you are not doing what fulfills you and your purpose in this world, you will remain unfulfilled.
Absolutely. And so with that being said, as you join us in this podcast, WhyzenUP, and you come to our episodes, you're going to see us grow with you as well.
Absolutely.
We're not coming here, we don't have it all figured out, we don't have all the answers. We've been through a lot, and we've come to this place where we're ready to share that experience with other people, so that we can get a heart touch with you, so that we can go to a place with you that we're all, as a community of human beings, growing and learning together and having passion about our lives again. Because so many of us, our lives feel dead, and we don't understand why. And we don't ever want to come from this place like we're telling you how to live your life or what to do.
That's another thing. We're not psychologists. We're not psychiatrists. Although, I'm just saying.
There's a lot of things I can't do, but feelings and stuff, it's my gift. So, and you'll get to see that as you get to know us more, and that's what we want.
We're not here to diagnose anybody. We're not here to tell you what you should do.
Even though I diagnose the crap out of myself all the time. But, you know, doctors hate me because I'm Googling it. Why is my fingernail red? I was like, it couldn't be because I, like, banged it in the door, you know?
Right. So just understand that when we go forward and we talk about our podcasts in the future, recognize that we may overgeneralize things. We're not overgeneralizing. We do know that there's an outlier, 2.5% on each side, right? So, you know, not everybody falls into the box. And when we say, you know, everyone, it's probably many. And you know what? That's just our perspective. It could be.
I was thinking the same exact thing. I was like, and that's where you have to have perspective with us. Is that we're only operating from the perspective that we're capable of because of what we've gone through and our experience with ourselves and other people. Like, I have other people's perspectives, but I don't have their experience. I'm able to connect with them and I'm able to understand their perspective, but I don't actually know because I'm not them.
Because you're not, you know what? The other piece of that is listening.
For sure.
Sure. You've got to listen to what people are telling you, even if you don't believe that it's true. It means something to that person. And they came up with it some way, shape, or form. There's probably some knowledge within it. So,
you know, my husband always says that even your worst enemy could be the deliverer of the news or the information that could change your life.
Absolutely.
And I love that so much because it's like you never know where it's coming from. So, and that's what we're saying here is that you never know. You might not even like us. But
guaranteed there will be people who are not going to like us, but that's okay.
And that's okay. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I'm totally good with that, even though this cup of tea is amazing. But I really want to emphasize that regardless of whether you like our attitudes or you like how loud we are or whatever it is you do or do not like about us, we have something to offer.
Yes.
And that's experience in life. And we both have the heart for this. And that's one thing you are going to see is that we are both extremely passionate and we're passionate about these topics. That's why we've been talking about them for the 28 years that we've been friends.
Long time.
Yeah.
So,
hacking through our crazy, you know.
So, we want you to stick with us. We're going to do our next podcast on addiction.
Yeah, we're starting out really strong.
We're going to start out meaty.
Has anybody asked you, why are you starting out with such a crazy topic?
Not yet.
Oh, my husband right away was like, why are you starting out with that topic? I was like, because we're diving in.
We're not going to tiptoe into this.
Right, no kitten gloves here, baby.
3-part series. The first 2, we're going to talk about what it's like possibly to be an addict, alcoholic addict, food, porn, sex, gambling. Who knows?
How to identify if you're an addict or somebody in your life is an addict. Exactly.
You know, what it feels like being on the receiving end of being in a relationship, whether it's a parental relationship, a parent to child, and vice versa, or if you're in a love relationship with somebody who is an addict or an alcoholic.
Or if you have a child.
Right.
That is an addict, and that is a whole other realm of dealing with addictions.
Yes. So, in the second episode, we're going to discuss codependency. What it is, what it looks like. Are you codependent? Bet you didn't know you were until you come and listen to this podcast. And then the third episode is going to be dealing with what happens after you get sober. What happens to yourself? What happens to the person that you're with? Because that in and of itself is likely the hardest piece because that's the part where you can choose to heal or not. So please stay tuned for our next episode on addiction. And my name is Rachel.
And I'm Amy.
And this
is WhyzenUP.